Long before you consciously decide how you feel about someone, your body has already made up its mind. There is a silent, invisible conversation happening right now between your nervous system and theirs, operating entirely beneath the words you speak, the social masks you wear, and the stories you tell yourself. While most people spend their lives searching for obvious, noisy gestures of interest, the truest forms of attraction are completely quiet, entirely involuntary, and impossible to fake. In fact, there is a subtle micro-movement of the face that occurs in less than a fifth of a second. If you blink, you will miss it, but once you know how to see it, you can never unsee the truth of how someone truly feels about you. By understanding these deep patterns of human nature, we do not learn to manipulate or play shallow social games. Instead, we cultivate a powerful, quiet clarity that allows us to connect with others on a level of profound honesty. We live in a world obsessed with performance. We are told to memorize scripts, to master body language tricks, and to project an image of confidence that we might not actually feel. But the human nervous system is an incredibly sophisticated lie detector. It has evolved over millions of years to sense safety, threat, authenticity, and deceit. When you interact with someone, there is a subterranean current flowing beneath your conversation. Before we can read the physical world around us, we must first master the lens through which we view it. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. When we enter an interaction consumed by our own insecurities, our thoughts are muddy, and our vision is obscured. We spend so much energy worrying about how we are perceived that we completely miss the silent language being spoken right in front of us. But when we cultivate the quiet stillness of a Stoic, we develop an extraordinary level of awareness. We stop looking for what we desperately want to see, and we begin to see what is actually there. Let us begin by observing the most honest part of the human frame. Most people believe that the eyes are the gateway to our true feelings, but behavioral science suggests a different truth. We are taught from early childhood to control our faces. We learn to force polite smiles, to hold artificial eye contact, and to nod even when our minds are miles away. But almost no one thinks to manage their feet. Picture a crowded, noisy room. You walk in, and the person you have been thinking about is engaged in a conversation across the space. Their face does not turn, and their eyes remain fixed on their conversational partner. But if you look down, you will see their feet, or perhaps their entire torso, have shifted slightly toward the doorway. Toward you. This is known as the orienting response. It is a primitive survival mechanism built deep within our biology. When the brain registers a stimulus of high value or personal significance, the nervous system automatically pre-aligns the body to receive it. The feet point toward where the heart wants to go. Next time you find yourself in a group, pay attention to this silent alignment. If their feet consistently find you, even when their conversation is directed elsewhere, you are witnessing an honest, unedited reaction. When you notice this, a Stoic does not react with eager desperation. As Seneca wisely noted, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence on the future. Do not overanalyze the moment or rush to force a connection. Simply ground yourself, step into their space naturally, and let your presence meet them where their body has already arrived. As we move closer, the silent dialogue shifts from physical alignment to the space between the words we speak. Have you ever noticed how some people's voices seem to carry a completely different weight depending on who they are addressing? This is not a calculated performance. It is a biological downregulation of the nervous system. When we are near someone who makes us feel safe, comfortable, and deeply drawn in, our vocal cords naturally loosen. The voice becomes warmer, slightly softer, and more intimate. Research suggests that this vocal shift is entirely unconscious. It is the sonic equivalent of stepping into a warmer room. Observe the contrast. Notice how this person speaks to a casual acquaintance or a colleague. Then, pay close attention to the shift in pace, volume, and resonance when they turn to address you. It is as if the volume of the noisy world around you has been turned down, leaving only a quiet frequency meant for your ears alone. Have you ever caught yourself doing this without realizing it? Have you ever found yourself so anxious about how you are being perceived that you completely stop listening to what the other person is actually saying? In those moments, you are no longer present. You have retreated into the prison of your own mind, trying to solve a puzzle that does not need to be solved. If you hear the shift, you can match their warmth. Let your own voice soften, slow your pace, and allow the silence between your words to hold its own weight. You are not copying them. You are participating in a natural harmony that their nervous system has initiated. This brings us to a phenomenon that is highly underrated yet profoundly revealing: the selective archive of the mind. The human brain is a highly efficient organ. To conserve energy, it constantly discards irrelevant information, retaining only what it deems highly valuable. When someone remembers a trivial, fleeting detail you shared weeks ago, perhaps an offhand comment about a childhood book, a specific way you prefer your coffee, or a minor goal you mentioned in passing, it is not merely a sign of a sharp memory. It is a sign of intense, focused attention. In psychological terms, they are assigning immense cognitive value to your words. They are building a detailed mental blueprint of who you are. Think of your own life. You do not remember the passing remarks of people you are indifferent to. Memory follows interest. To hold on to these tiny fragments of your identity means that, when you were speaking, they were not simply waiting for their turn to talk. They were fully present. When Epictetus taught that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak, he was describing this exact depth of attention. When you realize someone has been listening to you with this level of care, acknowledge it with genuine warmth. A simple, honest phrase like, "I am surprised you remembered that," signals that their attention was both noticed and valued. It builds a quiet bridge of mutual respect. If you have journeyed with me to this point, you are beginning to realize that the silent conversation between 2 people is far more honest than any spoken confession. But what if there was a signal so rapid, so pure, that it occurs before the conscious mind can even register the other person's presence? This brings us to the midpoint of our understanding, and it is perhaps the most honest micro-expression in human biology: the eyebrow flash. Pioneered by facial coding researchers, this micro-expression lasts for a mere fraction of a second. The exact instant we perceive someone we are genuinely pleased to see, our eyebrows lift and drop in a rapid, spontaneous movement. It is a universal human signal of recognition and pleasure that bypasses the social mask entirely. Because it happens in a heartbeat, it cannot be simulated on demand, and it is nearly impossible to suppress. The next time you walk into a space and catch someone unexpectedly, do not look at their smile. Look at their brow in that first split second of recognition. If you catch that brief, upward flash, you are witnessing an unvarnished reaction of pure joy. When you see this, return it. Meet their unguarded warmth with a genuine smile of your own. By responding to the honest version of them that showed up before they had time to compose themselves, you create a momentary, magnetic alignment that is incredibly rare in our highly polished world. Yet, this sudden surge of recognition often brings with it a physical reaction that is easily misunderstood: kinetic restlessness. When we are attracted to someone, our bodies experience a quiet rush of norepinephrine. This is the same neurochemical involved in our survival responses, and it naturally produces a subtle, restless energy. This energy must go somewhere, and it usually escapes through the hands. They might touch their face more frequently, adjust their collar, smooth their clothing, or play with a nearby object. In behavioral science, these micromovements are called preening. Across species, preening is an unconscious effort to look our best in the presence of someone whose opinion matters to us. Many people misinterpret this nervous energy as discomfort or anxiety. But there is a crucial distinction. When a person is nervous because they are uncomfortable, their body language will try to create distance. They will lean back, cross their arms tightly, and look for physical exits. But when the nervousness stems from attraction, their body will do the opposite. They will remain close, leaning toward you, keeping their gaze anchored to yours even while their hands remain busy with restless, unexplained movements. As Epictetus advised, our power lies in how we react to these moments of tension. Do not allow their nervous energy to make you awkward. Instead, offer them your calm. Speak with a low, steady tone, share a lighthearted comment, or let them laugh. When you bring stability to the space, their nervous energy will naturally settle, transforming from anxiety into a deep, comfortable connection. When this level of comfort is reached, you will begin to notice a beautiful, silent phenomenon known as synchrony. Imagine two stringed instruments placed near each other in a quiet room. If you pluck a string on one, the corresponding string on the other will begin to vibrate in sympathy. This is resonance. In human relationships, when two people are deeply aligned, their nervous systems begin to mirror one another in a natural, effortless dance. Their breathing slows to match yours. Their vocal rhythm aligns with your pace. If you lean forward, they will subtly follow suit a few moments later. This is not the calculated, artificial mirroring taught in modern persuasion seminars. It is an authentic, biological harmony that scientists refer to as physiological synchrony. When you experience this state of synchrony, the passage of time seems to warp. A conversation that has lasted for hours feels as though it only began a few minutes ago. This is because both of you are operating on the exact same frequency, fully absorbed in the present moment. To deepen this connection, simply lean into the rhythm. Let there be comfortable silences. You do not need to fill every gap with noise. The quiet agreement between you is a powerful conversation of its own. As this harmony deepens, physical space begins to respond to the psychological pull. Attraction behaves much like gravity. The brain maps physical proximity to emotional safety, and when we are drawn to someone, we naturally find plausible, socially acceptable reasons to reduce the distance between us. They will choose the seat next to you rather than the one across the table. They will walk closely beside you on a path. They will lean in to speak, even when the ambient noise of the room does not require it. They might hand you an object directly, letting their fingers brush against yours for a fraction of a second longer than necessary, rather than just setting it down. The space within arm's reach is our personal zone, a boundary we guard fiercely against strangers. When someone consistently and comfortably steps into this zone, they are showing you that their body feels completely safe in your presence. When they close the distance, do not pull back in surprise, and do not rush to close the remaining gap either. Simply hold your ground with a relaxed, comfortable presence. By remaining still, you let them know that their closeness is welcome, creating an environment where intimacy can grow naturally. This comfort level eventually leads to the eighth signal, the detailed baseline of observation. When someone is genuinely drawn to you, they pay a level of attention that goes far beyond polite social awareness. They begin to notice the subtle changes in your appearance, your mood, or your energy before anyone else does. They might ask why you seem quieter than usual, notice a minor change in your style, or comment on a subtle shift in your tone. This degree of perception is incredibly rare. Most people are completely wrapped up in their own internal monologues, blind to the shifts in those around them. But someone who has been quietly and consistently observing you will have built an updated, detailed portrait of you in their mind. To notice that something is different, they must first have spent considerable time understanding what is normal for you. When they reveal that they have noticed these subtle changes, do not brush it off with a quick remark. Pause, meet their eyes, and let them know that their observation was felt. A simple, appreciative response like, "I didn't think anyone would notice that," acknowledges their care and deepens the trust between you. This leads us to the final, and perhaps most telling, signal of all, the refusal of endings. When an interaction reaches its natural conclusion, a person who is indifferent will let it fade away without hesitation. They will say their polite goodbyes and move on. But a person who is attracted to you will actively fight the silence. They will search for threads to keep the connection alive. They will ask a follow-up question just as you are preparing to leave. They will bring up a new topic after the conversation has already wound down. They will send a message shortly after you part, referencing a small joke or continuing a thought from earlier. This is known as approach motivation. Your presence has activated the reward centers in their brain, and their nervous system is simply reluctant to let go of that feeling. They are keeping the door open, hoping for a way to return to your orbit. When you see this, you do not need to be pushy or aggressive. Simply build a bridge for them. Mention something you would like to explore together in the future, or suggest continuing the conversation another time. By giving them a clear path forward, you make it easy for them to keep finding their way back to you. But how do we navigate this without falling into the trap of modern games and manipulation? To a Stoic, these social games are a form of self-betrayal. They are based on fear, on a desperate desire to control another person's perception of us, so we do not have to face the vulnerability of rejection. When you engage in these tactics, you are not cultivating presence. You are cultivating a character of deceit. You are telling your own nervous system that who you truly are is not enough, and that you must wear a mask in order to be worthy of connection. What if, instead of trying to control the other person, you focused entirely on your own state of mind? What if you aimed for what the Stoics called ataraxia, a state of untroubled, tranquil presence? Imagine walking into a room without the desire to impress anyone. Picture sitting across from someone you care about, completely free from the need to secure their approval. You are not wondering if you are saying the right thing. You are not analyzing their expressions for signs of boredom or judgment. You are simply there, grounded in the present moment, listening with your entire being. In this state of quiet presence, you become highly sensitive to the silent language of the body. You notice the subtle shifts in the air. You see the warmth in their eyes. You hear the small pauses in their speech. And because you are not trying to force anything to happen, you allow the other person's nervous system to feel safe in your presence. You create a clearing in the forest of life where a genuine connection can actually find room to grow. This is not a trick. It is not a technique you can practice in front of a mirror. It is a natural consequence of a well-ordered mind. When you value virtue, self-respect, and truth above the fleeting validation of others, you naturally project a sense of calm and stability. You become a harbor in a storm, a rare space of peace in a loud and anxious world. And there is nothing more naturally attractive than that. Think about the way we tend to chase the things we want. When we chase a butterfly, it flies away. The harder we run, the more elusive it becomes. But if we sit quietly, if we tend to our garden and make it a place of beauty and peace, the butterfly will eventually come and land gently on our shoulder. Your character is your garden. Instead of chasing external validation, focus on cultivating your own mind. Practice the Stoic virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Learn to regulate your own nervous system so that you are not constantly reacting to the chaos of the world around you. When you do this, you do not just become better at reading the silent signals of others. You become a person whose very presence is an invitation to connect. The philosopher Epictetus observed that no great thing is created suddenly. Consider the grape or the fig, he wrote. If you tell me that you want a fig, I will answer that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen. If a simple piece of fruit requires time, patience, and the right conditions to grow, how can we expect something as complex and beautiful as human connection to appear overnight? So, the next time you find yourself in the company of someone you care about, take a deep breath. Release the tension in your shoulders. Let go of the desire to perform, to impress, or to find immediate answers. Trust in the slow, natural ripening of things. Listen to the conversation that is happening underneath the words. Trust the quiet, consistent, and absolutely accurate signals of the body. And remember that the most powerful thing you can offer another human being is not a polished performance, but a genuine, grounded, and tranquil presence. If this perspective resonated with you, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Sharing your reflections helps me understand what truly speaks to you and guides the direction of our future discussions. And if you have not joined our community yet, subscribing is a simple but incredibly meaningful way to support the creation of these videos. Thank you for your time, your presence, and your willingness to walk this path of self-mastery. Until next time, stay grounded and stay stoic.